Hello, everybody. Welcome to our first episode of a new series that we are doing for students about navigating the hidden curriculum of college. Um, Over the past few months, I think we've all had unique challenges and things to adjust and get used to. And this is a series to help students understand some of the things that sometimes we assume you know how to do, and things that we think, of course students should know this, of course they know this, but all too often students are confused. So this is really a collection of episodes to help you understand the secrets to Shocker success. So many of you may know who I am. I am Kim Sandlin, the Director of Student Success. I've been at Wichita State for in my 23rd year. Been here a long time. I was a student here. I was a first generation student here, and so I'm a proud alum of Wichita State. Our whole family, it seems, has been involved with the university in some way or another. And the thing that keeps me going and continuing to work with students is really the kind of impact the university had on me, the kind of experiences I had here and what I was able to do here as an undergraduate student, and the people that really helped me along the way become successful and graduate and go on to grad school and pursue my passions. So that's why I do what I do, and I'm really privileged to do the work that I do and work with our awesome students and our faculty and our staff. So I'll let Alicia introduce herself.
Assistant Vice President for Student Affairs here at Wichita State, and I too am a proud alumni of the university. I'm going into my 17th year, I think that's what I counted. So collective, Kim and I were like, whew, we're in the game. We're seasoned. We're not old.
On some days, I don't know. That's debatable. Go ahead.
And so in my role, I think one of the things that I absolutely love is meeting students where they're at and helping to get them to where they need to be. As a first generation student myself, I often would feel kind of lost or having this imposter syndrome, like I didn't belong and I didn't know where or who to ask questions. And half the time I really didn't even know that it was okay to not know. I felt like everybody else had a plan and they knew exactly what it was that they were supposed to be doing. And so that really kind of fuels me and the work that I do and Kim and I really get to do together, and that's serving students. And regardless if you're first gen or not, just meeting you where you're at and helping you find your passion, whether it's declaring a major. I changed my major 8 times before I figured out what I wanted to do with my life. And ironically, what I majored in as an undergrad has absolutely nothing to do with what I'm doing now. So I turned out okay. So if you out there if you're undecided and you're feeling like, I don't know what I want, or if you're about to graduate and you're like, oh my God, like, what am I going to do? Don't worry about it. You'll get there. The other thing is, just being able to explore and really come into your own through student involvement. Kim and I are both members of Greek letter organizations, and I think we both really flourished in that atmosphere. And for me, it helped me define really who I am and come out of my shy, introverted self. And so a lot of times when people meet me, they're like, you're not an introvert, because I'm so bubbly and that's what I do in my job. But I used to be extremely shy and quiet. And so I think, there's a lot that, we bring together and combine years and experience and working in different areas on campus to help students get to where they need to be. And at the end of the day, we want you to have a better experience than what we did. And we both had phenomenal experiences. So we set the bar really high and hope that we can just be along for the journey. And so excited to be here with you.
Yeah, that's excellent. Thank you, Alicia. in this episode, we're so formal with these episodes. In our first episode, we want to just talk a little bit about some of the technology that's challenging all of us right now. And just so that you all are aware, we will try to bring topics and information and those secrets to success to you in a timely manner. So we don't want to tell you about the ins and outs of how to RSVP to attend graduation, because that doesn't matter right now. What matters is what's happening in the classrooms and on campus at this moment, and something that is relevant to you. And that's really the goal with these episodes. We hope to have a collection of 10 by the time that everything is said and done. And are excited to talk with you all and give you some perspective, potentially, that just to make sure that everybody knows that they're going to be okay. It's going to be okay. So the first one, so today we want to talk about some of the technology that we're all, again, like I mentioned, struggling with. Students are struggling with them. We're struggling with it. Faculty, professionals, everyone has had to adopt these new practices and these new ways of connecting really quickly. And so want to focus on two in particular. One, a lot of our classes that are doing online, synchronous or asynchronous, whatever that is, you're using Zoom. And that may be new to you, and it may not be new to you. That's probably the primary platform. I think people are pretty comfortable with it. I think it's relatively intuitive in certain ways, but there are some secrets to using Zoom to make you as a student feel more comfortable, but also to be aware of, because, as you may develop study groups or be involved in student organizations or something, you may be using this outside of your classroom as well, maybe for work. And so there are a few tips and tricks that we want to talk about through Zoom. And then we're also going to talk about Microsoft Teams, which is another platform that our advisors use. A lot of our advisors are using Teams in their one-on-one communication with students. It's a little bit more university protected private versus Zoom, which is out there on the World Wide Webs, right? So I'm going to throw it over to Alicia. She's going to talk a little bit about some things in Zoom that you might not know about, that you want to be aware of, and help you be successful there. So Alicia, you want to talk? You're on mute, my friend. We did this all summer. We should know how to do this, right?
Just as we are getting familiar with it, you too, I mean, if you make a mistake when you're in a virtual classroom like Zoom or Teams, do not be embarrassed or humiliated, because I promise you, everybody's going to be doing the same thing. And so when it comes to Zoom classroom meetings, the one thing that I would share with you as like a really good tip is a lot of times I see students or even staff members, we're working from home, or if we are at home via Zoom, we think that we don't have to show up and be present in class. Just because you click in does not mean that you are present. And I want to say that again. Just because you click in does not mean that you're present. Being present means having your video on, being in an area that is clear and ready for you to learn and to really focus in. In addition, making sure that you're engaging. As an instructor or someone who really engages a lot with students via Zoom lately, I want to see your facial reactions. I want to see who looks lost. Is someone really struggling? If your picture's up, I'm not going to be able to see your head nodding saying, yes, I get this, or ooh. And anyone who knows me, I wear my face every day, all day. And so if I'm in a meeting and I'm like, that doesn't make sense, you're going to see me squint my eyes and tilt my head like, and so your instructors want to see that in you. And so make sure that you show up. The other thing within Zoom is there's some really cool features that I like to use. If someone's saying something and I'm like, yes, like I agree, or way to go, if they did something great, or if there is something that is just, hey, that's really thought provoking, there's icons at the bottom that you can click that will give an applause or a thumbs up. That shows another level and way of engaging, not only with your instructor, but with your classmates. And it really helps to build a sense of virtual community that I love. Another one is sometimes I know students in class are a little hesitant to raise their hand and ask questions during the class setting. And so within Zoom, there is a way to do that. If you go to the bottom, and I believe it's in, Kim, you might have to help me out on this one. There's a feature to actually raise your hand. And so if you hover down at the bottom of the screen, there is 4 icons there. If you click on the first one, that will allow you to go into tools and to raise your hand. And the moderator, the instructor will be able to see that. And then you would be able to be unmuted and if your instructor has you muted. The other thing that's really great feature in Zoom is being able to use the chat box. This is something where if someone says something and you need clarification, or maybe you want someone to repeat something, or saying, hey, if someone asked a question, you could put in, hey, that was great, I was thinking that too. And a lot of times it's great just for the simple fact that it's one, allowing the instructor to understand that, Alicia is present and participating, but also that you're willing to engage in the process. Virtual learning is not easy. A lot of times students are like, oh, this is cake. It's not. It takes more time in virtual learning because not only are you having to adjust to a new and different environment, but you're also having to teach yourself more information. And so making sure that you're participating in that in the process and asking the instructor and your classmates directly for help, because all of those features are there. I love Zoom. The other thing is that it's really great not only to connect in the classroom with your faculty, but also social distancing. If your parents are out of town and you get homesick, do a Zoom session with them. A lot of times people say, oh, my mom, she's one, she doesn't have an iPhone. And I'm like, okay. And so I'm like, well, let's do a Zoom. And so it's a great way to also stay connected with family and friends for those of you who may not have them here with you locally. Kim?
I would just add, I think, to the Zoom piece, sometimes I think students feel like it might be intruding, an intrusion on their personal space. You may not feel comfortable with other people in the class or your instructor seeing your surroundings. And so there are backgrounds that you can use that are helpful. I will say a couple things on this. I'll stick with backgrounds. I'll keep focused. On the backgrounds, there are a lot that you can get online, but there are some that the university has put together for you on the instructional design and access. I know Go Shockers, which is our athletics site, they've put together some backgrounds that you can use so that you just kind of mask everything behind you, because sometimes we just don't want that personal intrusion. Sometimes you don't want to see that maybe you share a bedroom with a sibling, or maybe the space that you have in your place that you live is the kitchen table, and that's okay, but you don't want dirty dishes in the background, right? So whatever that situation is, camera on is better than camera off, but we want to keep that privacy piece top of mind as well. So always know that you can put a virtual background behind you, provided by the university, or one that you can find, on your own. I would say exercise professional judgment when you choose your background. We can all be very individual and all of that, but you're also, again, you're presenting yourself to your instructors and the rest of your classmates, and so you want to make sure there's a level of professionalism there as well. That's why using the university developed ones is always a great option. The other thing I was going to mention, many of you may be joining from your phone, and that's a reality, and we know that. And having your ID picture or a nice picture of you, again, please use professional judgment. In these, a picture is better than your phone number showing up on that screen. Again, it signals that I care about how I'm coming across to you. I may just be on a phone today, and that's okay. We know that students, struggle with those kinds of things. So
one of the things that we'll be adding is if you check the website, we will have a link to where you can actually go to the university website and download any of the backgrounds that you want for Zoom. I have like 4 or 5 favorites. And so depending on how I'm feeling, I may want to be at the beach one day, or I may be in, Abla Library and there's the background. So find a couple that you like and have fun with it. If you don't know how to, there's really easy step-by-step instructions that are also listed on there. And so have fun with it and check it out.
Yeah, it's a good time. It's always fun because it's another way that some of the staff on campus have fun in meetings, because we'll be like, oh, where are you at? And it's like, oh, it's virtual. And they're like, oh, of course it is. And it's kind of fun to show up every day in a different place. One day you're on the beach, one day you're not. All right, we're going to change topics a little bit and go to Microsoft Teams. This is another platform that a lot of folks use on campus. Mostly, well, I won't say mostly, but I do know the academic advisors really like using Teams. Again, it's a little bit more protected. It's a little bit more private. It gives the advisor a way to make sure that they have the correct person and the correct student on the line with them. So be familiar with it. You may not use it quite yet, but eventually, most likely, you will come across using Teams. In both of these platforms, there are ways to share a screen. Typically in the classroom, you're not going to be asked to share a screen unless it comes down a little bit later down the line where you're giving a classroom presentation, where you need to share your PowerPoint slides or something like that. So you'll want to know how to share your screen in both platforms. In Microsoft Teams, it's not always intuitive as Zoom. And so you share a tray, I think is what it's called. But it is kind of that famous icon of the box with the arrow pointing up, and that's how you would then share that screen. Sometimes your advisors may want you to show them something. There are advisors who do a lot of outreach work who will want to see that what you're saying is true, right? We have all been in a situation where someone has asked us a question, how's your day going today? And we're like, oh, it's great, it's fine. But really, it's not great and it's not fine. And, we need to share information, but don't really feel like sharing it, but I'm just going to get through this interaction and then move on, right? So not to say that any of you would do this, but we have had students, say, hey, how are your grades going? How's classes going? What do your grades look like? How can I help you study better? How was your test? And students tell us, oh, it was great. I studied the right stuff. I was glad. I was glad I prepared with the studying that I did in advance. And we know that sometimes that's not always true. So want to make sure that you know how to share your screen. You know that you could be asked to do that in an advising situation, especially with some of our specialized advisors who may be reaching out for very specific purposes. And so, okay, let me see that Blackboard. Let me see your grades. And you always have the opportunity as a student to say, nope, not going to show you. And that's perfectly fine. That is your choice. You never have to share your educational record. But know that, we've worked with a lot of students. And so sometimes, we want to say, I'm not sure you're telling me what I want to hear, because I want to hear the real story. I don't want to hear, it's going great, I'm doing fine, because we'll find out at the end of the semester if you were doing great and if you were doing fine. So we want these interactions with students to be authentic. We want them to be truthful. We can't help you as advisors unless you're giving us the full perspective. And we've probably heard it all. I know Alicia has heard it all and hears new every day. And many advisors have also we've worked with hundreds and some of us thousands of students. We're pretty good at knowing when a student may need a little extra help. So know that Teams is a way that you can share information, you can share your screen. It is a little bit more private advisor to student. In Microsoft Teams, there is also an option for you to blur your background. So again, in an advising situation, if you feel like that's a little intrusive and you don't want people seeing your personal space behind you, you can blur that. To my knowledge, there's not a way to do a digital background yet, but at least you can blur it so that you can have that face-to-face kind of back and forth with your advisor, but still have some privacy there too. Again, you can put your name, like you see my name on the screen. Always put your name there so that your faculty, your advisors, the staff, anybody working with you at work or elsewhere knows who you are and which square. Sometimes we are in classes that have hundreds of students, and there may be, more than one Kim in the class, and so they need to know my first and last name because they need to know which Kim was there and participating. And then also in Teams, there is functionality to just do a phone call. And many of our advisors will call you on Teams. So they're calling you through the computer. And so some advisors will just do that. Sometimes we have our meetings like that where we just call someone quick because we're on our laptops, we're on our computers, we can use it, it can just pop up there. We don't have to go to the phone. So there is that as well. And then potentially, depending on how your class is set up and how your professors are using it, or if you're involved in organizations, there's ways where you can create a team within Teams, if that makes sense, where you can share files similar to Google Docs and things like that. But again, it's much more private. It is, linked to your student account and all of that. So wanted to share that on Teams. Alicia, is there anything you want to share specifically in regard to Teams or Zoom before we move on to a couple of?
No, I think you covered it pretty much. One feature that I really like in Teams is the chat. And so you can create a chat portal, which would be really good for like study groups or just to have an open conversation and a space to dialogue with other classmates in. That's really useful. I use it all the time with colleagues across campus, with student groups that I advise. And so it's nice because that's all saved right there. You can go back and reference. You can also drop down examples and different things. And so great feature, play with it. I think the best advice that Kim and I can give is don't be afraid of technology.
Yeah, absolutely.
Class, and I was like, oh my God. And I kind of freaked out for a moment. And then I was like, I got this. And that was me logging into my Blackboard. So kind of good segue, right?
Yeah. Take it.
Blackboard. A lot of students either love or hate Blackboard. And I think the most part is that we are uncomfortable when we don't know a platform. And so Blackboard is the instructors will use to, some will put grades in, your syllabus. There's an array of things that will be found in your Blackboard online in your portal. And so within Blackboard, of course, you click on courses. The number one thing that you should know about Blackboard is if you are in Blackboard doing an assignment or more importantly, a test quiz, do not go into Blackboard through your WSU portal. You're going to want to go into blackboard.wichita.edu. The difference is that if you log into Blackboard through your portal compared to directly the Blackboard website, it will time out. I had this happen to me one time when I was an undergrad, and I remember crying because my test timed out and I wasn't done. And it timed out because I exceeded the time in my portal. And so just remember to keep that in mind if that's something that you have to do online. But in Blackboard, really feel free to click around. There is nothing that you can mess up in Blackboard. It's really set up to be very user-friendly, I feel. You will go into my classes or my courses, click on the class, and each course could look different. And so for many of you, you're going to see the course name, the announcements, information, lecture discussion, maybe my grades, a toolbox. The one thing that I want you to pay attention to is your toolbox. In your toolbox, there's a lot of really, really cool features that a lot of students do not take advantage of. Example, the one that I love is the class roster, contacts, and email. And so there was a class once upon a time that I was extremely nervous about. And my advisor said, well, why don't you set up a study group? And I knew nobody in the class. And so again, back then, Alicia was very introverted. And I was like, there's no way I'm going to be able to ask anybody that I don't know to be in a study group with me. And so my advisor shared this feature in Blackboard. And the moment that I sent the message out to my class, literally less than a minute later, I had 2 or 3 people respond, hey, I'm interested in doing a study group. And so a lot of times it's knowing that if you're having some sort of anxiety or feeling about a subject or not understanding, chances are somebody in class is also feeling the same way. And so speak on it, ask a question. It's a really great way just to begin to see dialogue happen and build those relationships. Another thing is, as a faculty member, I can see when, how long, and where you're clicking at when you're in Blackboard. So for my procrastinators out there, yes, you may be one. Try to get that under control. I have students who used to, when I taught a success course, and students had said, oh, Miss Alicia, I didn't get in to get my quiz done in time. And there was all these issues, and I was like, okay, I'm very sympathetic. And so I said, well, let me look into it. And so I go and I look, I see that they logged in at 11:58. Well, baby, 11:58, that's not enough time to get that quiz done by 11:59. And so know that we can see that part of on the backside. And so give yourself plenty of time, making sure that you're planned and that you're in there. Another thing is discussion boards. A lot of times students will post on a discussion board and then they'll do 1 or 2 things on another and they won't click on any of the others. As an instructor, I can see, did you really go through and read all of the other discussions, or did you just kind of skim? Because when you click on it, it opens it up and it gives us a different side that you are really truly engaging in that process. Kim, are there any other things that you would like to share about Blackboard?
Yes, one that I learned from a student and very recently. So at the top, and I'm looking at my other screen here if you're wondering why I'm looking and pointing over in a random direction. At the top of the screen, you will see a cross when you go to blackboard.wichita.edu and log in. You get to Blackboard, you log in, you're good to go. You see my institution, my courses, which is where your classes will be, my organizations, which this is actually a place that's somewhat active. There's some different, we have a new financial wellness and money management org available that you can self-enroll in, but it's an organization. It's not necessarily a class for credit, right? So that's a little bit different. Your classes for credit, anything that a faculty member is teaching is going to be in my courses, and that's where you find their classes, right? But then you go one more over and it's my notifications. And I'd never been on this page. This will tell you my age. There was no Blackboard when I was a student. It was very old school. There were no laptops in classes. We wrote all of our stuff out. But the My Notifications piece really collects everything that your faculty members have put in for you. So if you have deadlines and things coming up, it's going to collect it all in one place for you. And on that screen, if you scroll down on your to-dos, it has what's due today, tomorrow, this week, and future. And so I was not aware of that at all as a staff member, certainly, and I have not experienced it as a student. So just something else that is another kind of tip and trick, hidden things. Like Alicia said earlier, click around, get used to it, find out what works for you, find the secrets that are your secrets to success, right? Just because I think it's cool, you may not think, you'd be like, okay, whatever, I don't know what she's talking about. Whatever works for you is what works for you, and you have to figure that out, but you can't figure it out unless you're in there devoting some time to figuring it out, right? So just know that notifications piece could be very helpful. And then the last option across the top there is support, which is really everything that we've got on campus to help you, support you through Blackboard, some COVID information and good stuff there. The other thing I want to talk about Blackboard before we move on is that every instructor uses it differently, which could be the most frustrating but coolest part, right, of Blackboard. Your instructors are not required to use Blackboard. Your instructors are not required to post your grades in Blackboard. A lot of students are like, well, they ought to be posting my grades in Blackboard. Blackboard is great. It is the learning management system. It is not the official educational record for you, right? So every faculty member utilizes it different. Every faculty member has a different level of comfort with the platform itself. Now, trust us when we say our IDA, Instructional Design and Access team, has done hours upon hours of training and helping our faculty develop the best courses they can online. But as we said earlier, everyone has a different level of comfort with every platform we're talking about. We've already covered 3. I've got another one to cover, and we're already, 30 minutes in, right? So there's a lot happening around us. So you have to devote some time. You have to carve some time out, even if it's 30 minutes a week. A day would be better, but 30 minutes a week, I'm going to really look into Zoom, and I'm going to really look at the help information that IDA has placed online for me to be the best student I can in my classes for Zoom. So take that time. You can't break it, especially Blackboard. You're not going to break Blackboard. If it was be able to be broken, it would have been broken before now. All right. So I'm going to switch real quick over to the student portal, and I'm looking here because I want to make sure that I tell you exactly what's on the screen. So when the university says, go to the portal, go to your student portal, what we are referring to is myWSU.wichita.edu. That's the portal. Okay, so a lot of the things, and we'll try to kind of unpack some of the lingo as we go through these episodes. myWSU, it's on your screen, .wichita.edu. That's the portal. That's your key into everything else at the university, almost. But what you can't find on the web, or what you can't find in the portal, you can find on the web, right? So that portal is a great resource. And again, look around, click on all the tabs, look at where the links take you. There's a lot of info there, right? So I want to talk about in the student tools section, it's also referred to as a channel. If you hear the word channel, but it's a section or a box. It says student tools at the top. There are 2 links there I want to call your attention to. First, schedule an advising appointment. If you are in need of seeing an academic advisor or a program advisor, a specialized advisor, you can request an appointment right there from your portal at any point in time. It's going to give you a few prompts along the way. So what's your major? Who's your advisor? Who do you want to meet with? That kind of thing. So it will ask you some questions to fill out. What sometimes trips up students is they don't realize that this takes you to another system where our scheduling and advising kind of happens, right? So it looks a little bit different. It may say navigate at the top. That is legitimate. It is a part of That's another platform, right, that the university uses in order to really track communication back and forth with students. We can send text messages through this to you. This platform will send you email confirmations, email reminders, text reminders of your appointments coming up. So it's a great way to connect with an academic advisor, especially when it comes to exploring majors. For those of you who may not know what 100% all in your major, and you want to know what the options are and how to go about figuring out your passion, you can request things like that. Or it can be as simple as, I need to enroll for next semester. I know what I'm taking. I'm good to go. I need 30 minutes of your time. Boom, in, out, done. You're ready. So that's a great one. And another one is request a tutor. This link will take you to the same platform, Navigate, and it is legitimate. It is a official university platform, but this will ask you, okay, which class specifically do you need a tutor from or for, and then it will send us the information so that our folks in the Shocker Learning Center out of Student Success can then connect you with the fastest and best, most appropriate, most successful resource for you. So both of those are available in the student tools section. Other things, if you're looking for a job on campus or off campus, there is a link to Handshake. That is yet another platform that we use. You can upload resumes, you can search job boards. That's really a hot one right now, as current situation, a lot of students are looking for employment on campus and off campus. This is a nationwide kind of thing. So take a look at that. If a job is posted on Handshake, they're probably looking specifically for college students because you all bring a unique perspective and skill set to the professional world. So a lot of students, or a lot of employers, want to make sure that they have their information there. So that's another really great one. Other things you can do: order a transcript, the Spanish placement exam. Who knew? If you're enrolling in a Spanish course, you have to take a placement exam before your advisor can place you in the proper level, right? So that's available right from your portal. So look at these kinds of things. Look at these platforms. Look at the portal, because it really is a key into a lot of information. You look over on the right-hand side of your home tab and campus involvement. So student involvement, leadership, student org, sports club, SGA, ODI, all kinds of things right there, among everything else on your portal. So I don't know, Alicia, if you have anything else you want to add to the portal specifically?
No, I think, there's a lot of power at your fingertips. I think that's probably the best advice I can give you, is that there's a lot of information and power at your fingertips, and don't be afraid to use it. Use it to figure out what it is that you like, what you don't like, by engaging and getting involved on campus. Use it to explore and ask questions, to find jobs, connect with advisors for career advising or major exploration. And knowing that how you show up in these spaces virtually, that it makes a difference. It significantly makes a difference. I can tell you that, it takes 2 times for me to meet an individual, for me to put a face with a name, and for it to click. If I don't see you and you come up to me and say, "Hey, Miss Alicia," I'll be like, "Who are you?" And so making sure that you make yourself visible, not only, when you're on campus, but virtually, because it's recognized and it makes a difference in so many different ways. And, I always say, put your best foot forward. A lot of times, in my Zoom class that I had last week, someone showed up and they were laying on the couch in sweatpants and a t-shirt, and they're just kind of like slouching. And then I thought I saw them like dozing off. And so that's not really the best way to show up. And so when I say show up and, have your hair brushed, brush your teeth, put on clothes like you're going out, and making sure that your classmates are seeing you for who you want to be seen as. And that is being able to engage in the process, and being ready to learn.
Yes, I would also add to that, if you do have your camera on and you do choose, right, to engage in that way, and you're kind of slouchy and you're kind of yawning and all that, students aren't going to want you in their projects. They are not going to want to ask you to be part of a study group. So not only are you presenting yourself to your professor, you're presenting yourself to your other classmates, right? So if you have the intent of maximizing every option you have to be successful, then that's the kind of energy you have to bring. And it is more exhausting to be in class online than it is in a Zoom kind of situation than it is, to not, to be in person or any other option that you have. You have to level it up a notch and feel like you're on. We talk about, I had to be on for the last hour or whatever, right? So it is exhausting. So take care of yourself. That's another thing. And at this point, I'll just invite Alicia back in because I think we'll probably wrap up here in the next few minutes. But if you're not taking care of yourself, if you're not getting sleep, if you are not eating, if you are not, just taking 5 minutes in between classes to just kind of close your eyes and go refill a water bottle or whatever, that can weigh on you and exhaust you pretty darn quick. So take care of yourself, because we know screen time it can take a toll on your health.
Yeah.
So yeah. I think we might be done with our first episode, Alicia. We're definitely done with the things that we wanted to cover, specifically, again, relating to Zoom, Microsoft Teams, Blackboard, and the student portal. The university has put a website up. I think we're going to see it on the screen here in a minute, wichita.edu/remote student. This is a place to go for support. If you go to this website, there's more links, more information on Zoom and Teams in particular, with a focus on Zoom because that seems to be the platform of choice.
Yeah.
So, things about what if my laptop crashes and burns in the middle of the semester and I need a new one? I need a loaner. My Wi-Fi is not good at my house. Where do I go? How do I request one? The university has resources for you to be successful, but we won't know unless you let us know, especially now because we're not seeing you in person. So you're going to have to reach out and let us know. So that website's a really good one to start with or to go to if you have further questions or need extra tech support. So. All right. Any last words of wisdom for secrets of success, Alicia?
No, I would just say, note to self, you got this. Don't be afraid. And if you ever feel like you're stuck and you're just like, I really am struggling and I don't know what to do, remember, you do not have to go at it alone. Kim and I, we are always on standby, ready to assist and help student, your success coaches in your college, your advisors. There's plenty of people on campus that are ready, willing, and waiting to help you. All you have to do is let us know. And so make sure you reach out and just know we're here and we're excited to share many more secrets of success with you as the semester unfolds.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Alicia. Last thing I would say before we sign off, you can feel free to reach out to either of us via email. On the screens, you see our first and our last names. If you put a period between the two and put at wichita.edu at the end, you're going to get to us. So it's our first name dot our last name at wichita.edu. You can email either of us and we'll be happy. If we don't know the answer, we can definitely connect you with somebody who does. Our people are so great. I'm going to shout out to Em behind the scenes. Thank you for doing all the tech work in the background for us. But those are our emails. Please reach out. We want to help you. We want your success. Your success is our success. We want your student experience to be, as Alicia said, better than ours was. And that's going to be hard to beat because we had a darn good experience here. So. All right. Thank you for joining us for our first episode. Our next one, we'll do these about once a week, and you can find them online. You'll be able to find them at our student success website, and then we'll link to other places as well. So thanks for joining us. Good luck. Reach out. Use your resources. And we'll see you next time. We'll see you next time. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.